Next, we've got another member of our Real Strategies family, Coleman Bass. Some of you have maybe worked with Coleman on different projects. He has a marketing and communications background, does a ton of work in that space with digital advocacy and a variety of things. And Coleman's going to talk about a couple of things today. First, he's going to share some get out the vote campaigns that he has been involved with both last year and kind of working on some stuff this year, some insights that he's learned, what's been effective, some ways to track some of that. And then is also going to share, some of you may be familiar that we have just over the past year or so developed our own in-house digital advertising platform at Real Strategies. And that has really enhanced our ability to not only do these digital advertising campaigns, but really add extra levels of reporting and transparency and being able to see who has seen the ads and who didn't, and be able to get reports afterwards to see which voters actually saw the ads. And Coleman's going to get into a lot of those details here over the next little bit. So Coleman, without any further introduction, the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a presentation right now. And yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. Excited to talk about this. This is, again, as Justin mentioned, really looking at how we're leveraging this digital ad platform for GOTV success. So we'll dive right into it. But first, I did want to introduce myself. So my name's Coleman Bass. I know some of you, but others I don't. I've had about 15 years experience in digital marketing and ad buying. I have a master's degree in strategic communications from American University. I've worked with clients of all sizes across many different industries, local fitness studios to Bank of America, big names, and Unilever. The current role of a senior managing director. I'm an avid tournament tennis player in USTA NorCal division. Little fun fact, and there's me on the tennis court. And then I'm also overseeing NAR's consumer GOTV campaign, and that's what we'll be talking about today. So just a little bit of background about me. Moving right along, we have our big question that we're looking at with the research that we're doing with digital advertising. And it's, did GOTV digital ads actually make an impact on voter turnout? Now, remember, we're looking at consumers here, consumer homeowners for NAR. So it's not necessarily the same audience as what other people are looking at, but this is one small snapshot and kind of an example of the why and how and some of the amazing results that we're hoping to see and that we have seen. So in 2022, we set out to answer that question, and we found the following: that the GOTV digital ads statistically changed voter behavior for both the likely and unlikely voters. We had two segments that we modeled. Again, likely voters, people who've shown up in the past, and then unlikely people based on our models, kind of, who might not necessarily vote, but who messaging may have an impact on. So we had a control group, we had a test group, and we found that the election turnout doubled for people who were unlikely to vote, which is huge. Those are kind of the real target there, is the unlikely voters. And that went from 2% to 4%. So that's a pretty big gain. I know those are small numbers, but to get that is quite significant if you were to scale out. And then on the likely voters too, we saw a jump from 71% in the control to 81% in the test group. So pretty impressive results. And we were able to do that because we could match back, we can look at the log files, we can use our advertising platform to have those types of analyses. So in 2024, we're going to take a similar approach. We're going to be, again, looking at likely and unlikely voters modeled from the data team. We're focusing on which is get out the vote. It's going to occur over the final 2 to 3 months of the election. We're going to use it, which is right now, and we're going to be using the Real Strategies digital advertising platform because we need that to be able to match back essentially who we reached. And then once the voter returns come in, to see who was on our list, who made the vote, and then put that research and data together, make a match, and do the analysis. And then by having the test group and the control group, we can actually compare those. So how are we going to do it? We're going to, of course, choose the criteria for likely and unlikely voters. We work closely with data teams. We can figure out that type of segmentation. We're going to remove a portion of each target audience who will not be exposed to the ads. That's the control. We're going to deploy ads with a controlled frequency to each segment. And we can again do that through our advertising platform. On certain channels or on other platforms, you can't necessarily get that granular and know who exactly you reached on what list, nor are you able to see kind of what the returns show to match back. And then we compare the voting percentages between the test and control groups. That's kind of the end. So it's a simple test, but it's very precise. And we're trying to keep everything measured so that we can, get some good results and compare 2022 to 2024 to see if this trend continues. A little bit about the demographics to give some more context on our likely and unlikely voters. Now, remember, these are homeowners, and these are people within specific states that NAR is interested in. So it is not representative of the whole country, but it is interesting to look at. We see that the likely voters are much older, and the unlikely voters are actually much younger in the segmentation that we have. Looking at gender split, male and female, we see that actually on the unlikely voters, it's pretty even compared to the likely voters. Male and female are much closer compared to the likely voters that are predominantly female. And that's, I think, a trend that plays out across the United States. But that's interesting to see within this segment. And then finally here, we're looking at Republican and Democrat. We're seeing a pretty good representation of both in both likely and unlikely voters. The likely voters is pretty much split. And then the unlikely voters has a few less Republicans, a few more Democrats within this specific segment. Again, not necessarily something that plays out nationwide. Taking a look at the creative that we used for this campaign, we really focused on being a voter this year and the fact that homeowners kind of are the fabric of the country. We use these 3D models to create kind of these American homes, different shapes and sizes. And then we have a lot of tools and resources that you can click through to that kind of engages the audience and reminds them that, election day is around the corner. We're also leveraging the hashtag Vote Ready, which is being used by a lot of organizations, and kind of track that through our social listening capabilities to see kind of the engagement we get through that hashtag as well. So I mentioned this kind of throughout the presentation here, but really is why does the digital advertising platform matter in this use case? And this use case is one of many. There's many other conversion type campaigns that can be done that we can do match back and analyze kind of the actual ROI of the ads instead of just saying, oh, we got this many impressions to this general population, not really being able to tell the full funnel story of what's going on. And this really allows us to do that. So again, it allows us to place digital ads on any format, on any website, application, connected device. That, of course, increases our reach, critically important. A feature I haven't mentioned is the automatic early vote audience exclusions. That's really great for obviously political campaigns and something that we're able to leverage for the GOTV, because once people have already voted, of course, we can save money by not pushing out that advertisement. And it happens in real time. We can retarget ads to the website visitors using Wire. Some folks have those already installed on their sites. Definitely encourage folks to talk to the team about Wire, because it's something that allows us to start to capture audiences that visit your site, and they can be used and activated in audiences. We can also get some information about the people that are visiting your site, much more expansive than what you would see in something like Google Analytics. Ad transparency. So actually who received the ads, that's this post-campaign and matchback reports and something called ad logs. So an example might be if I were to run something on Facebook, I may not be able to see which individual person got which ads at what time and that sort of information. I know that the audience received the ads, but not all the detailed kind of receipt data. And that's in the logs, and that's something that we provide. That's something that doesn't really exist in the industry, and that allows us to really see who's being reached on the list that we have. And if they're not being reached, is there another way that we can reach them? Maybe we can export that list and contact them via direct mail or another platform that they'll actually kind of be on. You know, some folks aren't necessarily playing games or going to certain sites with a lot of inventory of advertising. So it's good to know who those people are as well. And then importantly, we want to be able to garner more impressions and frequency for the budget. This platform eliminates a lot of fees, so that helps with our reach. Again, helps to get our goals, helps to get more impressions, and hopefully show that these digital ads continue to make a difference. Because I think a lot of folks aren't sure sometimes if it's really making an impact, but hopefully this type of research and this type of analysis can start to paint a clearer picture. With that is kind of the quick rundown on our GOTV campaign. If folks have additional questions or offline, if want to talk about more opportunities to do analysis like this for your association or some other specific deadline event, you know, this can be applied in a lot of different scenarios. So with that, I will turn the floor, I think, back to Justin, who may be able to answer, or I'm sorry, feed in any questions that come through, and I'd be happy to answer anything that I can help with.
Thanks, Colin. Appreciate you taking some time to share that with us. I am seeing a question here. So I think a lot of people on a lot of projects where we have used these wire pixel things on websites to, you know, collect that information. Talk a little bit more about that. Like what is entailed in that? Is there a significant cost related to that? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so the pixel data, even outside of wanting to do an advertising campaign right away, it's good to have, we encourage associations and organizations to have this pixel installed to start to get information and prepare for a potential ad campaign. So there isn't any cost associated with placing that pixel. And once it's placed, then where I guess we make our money is when the advertising is used and the retargeting audiences are used from that pixel. So it's actually pretty good and recommended to get that on the site as early as possible so you can start collecting that data. And it's a really simple code. I know a lot of folks have probably put on maybe a Facebook pixel. Basically, it's just a little JavaScript and it goes right into the header of the website. The web developers usually have a pretty good idea of how to put that in. Super simple. And then it connects in and we're able to establish the connection and you're off to the races. So we're installing a bunch every week. And we're seeing some good numbers and good information coming through. It also, again, allows you to have that over time data. Sometimes we see that folks will want to install a pixel right before a campaign, but it's helpful sometimes to have more context over a longer period of time, even before a campaign starts.
So you're using those to create a new audience of people that you know have visited. Correct. To then maybe do a different type of campaign now that we know that these people have some level or whatever.
Yep, there's I think there's a lot of different use cases, and that's definitely one of a really good one. And also sometimes people want to say, you know, what sort of people are engaging with, you know, this specific site, and can you give us some high level demographic information about them? Because it's something that, for those who are familiar with Google Analytics, kind of attempts to do, but it's very anonymized, and I would say the information is not necessarily that accurate. Ours is actually connected to the individual and, you know, provides a lot more clarity onto the actual demographic segments. It's the same type of demographic analysis we use for across all of our products. So it's very robust.
Cool.
Yep.
Let's see, Coleman, I think I don't see any other questions here. So with that, thank you very much for
of course.
your
been
time
great.
today.
Yeah,
Yes,
happy to share it. Yep, for
awesome.
sure. Thank you.
Well, just a couple of things as we wrap up here. So, obviously Coleman mentioned, one of the things that I think is really cool about that tool is the fact that with the early voting data that we are collecting, we can remove voters from these target universes, whether it's digital or any other type of outreach. And, so you're not wasting money there. And in a lot of cases, we have kind of a backup universe of like voters, kind of the next group that maybe didn't make our initial universe due to budget reasons or what have you. And so we can fill up and populate that universe with additional targets as we have removed people who have already voted. And so that's, I think, is a really, really cool part of that technology that we're excited about. So just wanted to mention here, obviously we're getting down to crunch time. We are still getting requests for last minute independent expenditures. We can still help people if they're interested in digital ads or text messages or live calls at this point. Still time to do those sorts of things. And, if anyone has any needs for that or get out the vote related campaigns, we obviously would love to help anyone here. If as you're seeing early vote data come in, if there's a race that you're feeling like maybe you want to get engaged in at the last minute, we've done that in past cycles and happy to help with that sort of thing again this year as well. Did want to mention just a couple of things. Some members of our team are going to be in Boston for the NAR meetings there. If you are, we may try to do an in-person user group meeting or reception of some sort, kind of looking at Saturday afternoon. I think that's November 9th, sort of in the afternoon, 3 to 6 time frame. For something like that. More information to come there. And then we're looking to do another one of these remote webinar meetings again in December, probably December 12th, which is a Thursday, is the tentative date that we have that scheduled. And at that point, everyone will be past the election. We'll be looking at probably, things that are coming up for upcoming sessions. We may bring back Joe Good and Sarah Stevenson from American Strategies to maybe talk about some of the issues and other things that they're seeing and in the survey research work that they're doing. And we'll all be probably focusing on more the policy side in December at that point, of course. So thank you, everyone, for your time here today. We really do appreciate you spending some time with us. Any questions, email us here. You've got realinfo@realstrategies.com, or maybe some of you know how to get a hold of some of us in other ways as well. So we'd love to hear from you. And good luck these next several weeks with everything that you're all involved in. And again, appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.